all aspiring and emerging leaders out there. Welcome to yet another episode of the Full Stack Leadership Podcast. The conversations cover three aspects for being an effective leader: leading self, leading and influencing others, and creating business impact. Hi, I'm Krishna Prasad, your host. Come, let's dive right in. Today I'm in conversation with Vishu Hegde, popularly known as Vishu in professional circles. Vishu has been a very highly accomplished leader with over 30 years of experience in the industry. He has led a global leadership position in Motorola several years back. He was one of the founding team members of Mindtree Consulting, where he saw the company grow from almost zero to a 10,000 strong workforce. And in the last 10 years, he has been in consulting space with PM Power Consulting. And he has made his name almost synonymous to mindful leadership, which we will also, get to hear a little bit more. Vishu, a warm welcome to our show. Very happy to have you here.
Thanks, KP.
So, Vishu, as you probably know, this is a full stack leadership podcast, and we want our listeners to kind of get a good idea of leadership, the different dimensions of leadership, and so on. But before we jump into some of the topics, why don't you take our listeners through your own leadership journey up to now, and especially some twists and turns along the way?
Yeah, maybe in terms of my professional career, how we can start relating to leadership dimension. I can go back to my work in aeronautical development agency. I was working on light combat aircraft project on the avionics systems, and I had a great opportunity there to observe some of the amazing leaders. Actually, Abdul Kalam was kind of spearheading the whole program.
Oh, okay.
He was the program director at that time. He hadn't become a president yet.
Okay.
But he was a scientific advisor to Prime Minister as well as is running this program. I connected extremely well for his style of leadership, so to say. I saw him very soft-spoken, always smiling, gentle, but everybody get attracted to him actually. He was like a talent magnet. And whenever he spoke, even though very soft-spoken, just people listened to him. In fact, I felt something that is true leadership. It's not about being a macho or a cowboy or driving. I didn't like that kind of a leadership aspect, so to say. So that was one very nice exposure for me to that. Okay, leaders need not have to be aggressive, macro, and driving people, etc. But can be soft, but inspiring people and creating interest in them to do certain things. That was one interesting thing which struck me about how I can be as a leader. Then when I came to Motorola, I saw some of the global leaders. Especially I saw some leaders in quality in Motorola because Motorola was known for quality. And how do they drive quality was kind of an interesting thing for me because such a large company, global, and such complex products they used to do in all the communication equipments and so much of integration of semiconductors, software, many things. And how do you make sure that product is so perfect and goes through so much of complex manufacturing processes? So I saw some of the leaders there. Of course, that gave me an exposure to global leadership styles. I saw a leader who is from actually Russia, but working in USA. He was heading the quality for Motorola globally.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Very strong drive. Another interesting leader was a Singaporean Chinese community. His style, very kind of a military style, which accomplished a lot of things. I would say like 24/7, focused on their goal, customer satisfaction, any small issues coming from field or customers, taking it so seriously, driving it back into the organization, and looking at the whole chain, right from design to manufacturing to distribution and the whole supply chain. that was another amazing exposure to look at the whole big picture and interconnectedness of things, and how leaders needs to be having that full view
Okay.
of things and the people and the processes and tools, technology, everything involved in that. I would say that was another exposure. Then I would say my greatest learning as well as manifestation or application, probably I would say, started happening more in Mindtree. So in Mindtree, I had opportunity to work with some of the great leaders in IT industry. Ashok Sutta was my boss and Subrata Bakchi was my coach. I couldn't have asked better combination. Two amazing leaders, different styles of leaderships. Again, lot of learning from both of them. So in all this process, of course, in Mindtree, I had many leaders actually, very adorable leaders. Even my own peer leaders, there are very wonderful leaders. And I picked up a lot of things from them. But more interestingly, I discovered my own leadership styles. And I realized that it's not that I should become like somebody else like them, but it's about how should I bring my own core into manifest outside. So that was both very relieving because I was not trying to become somebody else, which is always a fake kind of thing, like wearing a mask. So when I'm myself genuine, I don't have to act. So I don't have to say something which is not coming from deep inside. So I would say it's like an integrity, being integral to myself. And Mindtree had a wonderful culture and an environment where it actually encouraged and enabled and promoted such way of being. You can say the psychological safety was very high.
Okay.
Not like you made a mistake and then you are beaten down. So that actually also helped me to spread into the industry level. Of course, in Motorola, I started with the B spin, the industry level community, along with other colleagues in the industry. But when I was in Mindtree, in fact, Ashok Sutta encouraged a lot about getting into these industrial forums, and he himself was heading CII at that time, and it was well recognized even inside the company as part of my, for example, the performance management system. It's not some side thing I do and not recognized inside the company. That helped me to develop more of a enlarge this leadership circle and connect with even more diverse set of people, diverse set of organizations, communities, and various levels of leadership in different companies through that forum. Bangalore Software Process Improvement Network.
Very good. No, I think our listeners would definitely be able to visualize the kind of variety, which you have gone through in terms of course, roles. And also one thing I picked up is the kind of variety of leaders which you mentioned, which you kind of had an opportunity to work with and so on. Would you be able to recollect, let's say, a little bit of a twist and turn between like an ADA kind of work environment, which is a little bit more government-funded program, versus a global? At Motorola, I think at that time was a communications leader. Probably it was world-class and so on. So were there some twists and turns you noticed that, oh my God, I'm coming from a military government setup? Could you recollect something?
Yes. I think very right question, because it really happened like that. In fact, while I was in ADA, I really didn't realize that we are doing such a complex, huge program. In fact, we used to have a large number of organizations working together there, around 150 organizations working together.
Oh, wow.
LCA program. A lot of government organizations as well as private. And I used to interact with some private, like Wipro used to do certain part of the work in the avionics system. And those people used to be very good in terms of their communication, articulation, projecting something, presenting something, etc. I used to think that, oh my God, these private companies are doing great. Actually, only government organizations are not doing, some big stuff. Then when I joined Motorola, I realized that they are doing very small pieces in a large system, and they project it as if it's a very big significant achievement they are doing.
Okay.
That kind of opened my eyes. Oh my God, we are doing such a huge life critical, mission critical
Mission
systems
critical
there,
system. Yeah.
and complete systems. You know,
Yeah.
we are working with 22. In fact, in avionics, there are 24 subsystems. Each one is such a huge
Good
system by itself.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, maybe it's just a matter of how you position it. In fact, some of the Indian government and public sector organizations are doing amazing kinds of products, but they're not able to bring it out properly and project it properly. I would say something like that, actually.
Yeah. I would probably now go back to a couple of things what you mentioned. You used a very specific term that, look, having worked with many of these leaders, one thing that happened was your own leadership kind of manifestation happened, your own growth happened. Would you like to kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
Okay, good. In fact, each of these organizations were, I would say, my S curves, how they shaped. I grew something and actually made a shift and grew some more like that. If you can visualize like the S curves. So in ADA, I was more of a very more technical and some project management, system integration, that kind of a scope, not very large teams and all. Then coming to Motorola, it was working in a GCC, Global Capability Center, and it was a global exposure. So working with global teams. In fact, I was part of the quality team in Motorola, and we are driving the CMMI. At that time, Motorola was the pioneer and first private organization to adopt CMMI other than US Department of Defense. And bringing that change and catalyzing that into the whole organization, I discovered my influencing or leading without authority kind of a leadership style, and how to bring ownership and build more self-organizing teams through an influencing way than a command control way. That was kind of a great learning in the Motorola. Then in Mindtree, my journey continued in the quality, business excellence, not only the delivery organization, but the operational excellence, business excellence. So even implementing an ERP system for the entire Mindtree to run Mindtree's business, and also starting a consulting business unit for external customers of Mindtree. So all these led to more growth in different dimensions of leadership skills and leading very large teams. In Mindtree, I had about 100 people in my team, but I was driving 10,000 people organization from this functional perspective. So how to bring change in a very large scale. It was distributed in 7 countries, and large scale integration of systems and processes, looking at end-to-end view of from a sales to delivery, whole procurement cycles, whole people recruitment to people exit. So we used to call this end-to-end process like people in, people out, material in, material out, project in, project out. That's the end-to-end view of the whole process and systems, and how to bring all those different stakeholders together, like a value stream mapping, and realizing them that, oh, we need to work together and collaborate. It's not just work in silos and make my job only. Those are all great revelations to how to make it happen with those people.
Okay, very good. So sometimes is there a misconception in some emerging leaders, like who are mostly our listeners, that only in certain functions, like, you mentioned quality or you mentioned business excellence, people need to be a little bit more about leading with influence and not with authority. But if I'm in a product development organization, if I'm in a typical sales organization, then probably I don't need to do that. Is that a misconception according to you?
I would say certain functions need a lot more of that. Like all the enabling functions need a lot more of this leading with no authority, or more leading through influencing skills. They need it necessarily because people are not reporting to them directly. Whereas in the direct line, they have other kinds of influence, just the positional influence,
Okay.
and the performance management kind of an influence.
Mm-hmm.
So many other influences happen just by being in that structure.
Mm.
But even there, if leaders have this ability to influence without power,
Mm-hmm.
that is the higher order leadership capability.
Okay.
In fact, then they can create a lot more empowered team members
Mm.
and create a lot more collaboration and self-organizing among themselves, which actually brings best out of people as well as liberates the leader to focus on much more higher value activities.
Yeah. Okay. So is it fair to say, according to you, that no matter what function, what role we are playing,
Yeah,
leadership skill about influencing and working collaboratively with peers is a skill which is a necessary thing in today's world?
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Very good.
I would say for
Yeah.
leaders,
Mhm.
very key essential thing is one is visioning
Mm.
or purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That means I myself should have kind of a view of what is that end or a larger picture.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And then how I create similar thing in others, and then inspire them to move towards that.
Mhm.
That's the most important point of leadership, actually.
Point of leadership. Okay, good. So I mean, I'm just trying to map this for our listeners. So in our full stack leadership, typically there is a create business impact, which I think you mentioned in a couple of instances: customer centricity, a little bit more value stream, looking at end to end, how value is getting created, delivered. Okay, that's one part. Looking at process and so on. Then I could map the next layer of our stack to this leading others, leading, influencing without authority, making sure you inspire. So some really good points, what you made. But I'm just kind of holding myself, and now I think I want to get to this point, which is what I think you have been a very strong proponent of, is about leading self. And that is probably our bottommost layer of the stack, which is deep down the iceberg. So for our listeners, what would be a simpler definition according to you about leading self?
In fact, in my own leadership journey, I noticed that just like the tip of the iceberg, the leading business, which is more visible demonstration of leadership, you can say, with actions, etc. But in order to do that, we need to work through people because business happens through people. That means I need to work with people. That's where the leading people aspect, which is a little bit below the surface of the water, dealing with lot more intangible things, emotions and people aspects, and aspirations. And if I have to deal with that, that means diverse set of people, I need to be able to manage within myself many aspects. I would say one of the very important, most important part is the awareness. In leading self, the biggest piece is the self-awareness. That means how am I aware about myself, my own feelings, emotions, thoughts, and how much am I aware of other people, what state they are in, what emotions they are going through, and am I able to connect with them? For example, I am a person of certain values. When I say values, I say, oh, this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad.
Okay.
Those are my values. If I'm aware, then I know that similarly different people have their own different values based on their upbringing and education and many contexts. Then I know I don't have to change myself, but I should be able to connect with them with their value system. That means I need to have my own interface, like an API, I would say, to connect with different people. You can call this as empathy, actually. That means if I am aware, then I'll be able to sense the other people. If I'm not aware, I'll be lost in my own thoughts, my own desires or drives, whatever. I'm just driving myself rather than carrying everybody along. And the more larger the leadership scope is, I need to bring more diverse set of people because that's where the innovation happens and the better outcomes happen through that, actually.
Okay. So I'm probably interacting with hundreds of people. If I'm a leader in a large organization, I'm interacting with hundreds of people. What do you think? Is it practical that I get to, become aware of all these people whom I'm dealing with? What do you think?
Okay. Okay. So there is a direct one-on-one kind of a sensing.
Okay.
For example, people who are directly reporting to me, I can do many
Mhm.
of that.
Mhm.
But there is a group level also. We can even sense the group mood or the
Okay.
a team's health
Uh-huh.
or team's energy level or a
Mhm.
team's engagement level. I can sense a lot of those things. Of course, we can put a metrics and measure them actually. That's
Sure.
why you call this more of the bottom of the iceberg. Not
Sure.
so visible,
Uh-huh.
but these are the most powerful drivers actually. I would say managers manage by measurement,
Okay.
whereas
Huh?
leaders lead by sensing.
Oh, okay.
Managers manage by measuring means they are managing the top of the iceberg,
Hmm.
visible parts. So they wait for data, they wait for metrics and look at that and try to deal with that. But
Okay.
all measurements are lagging indicators. They're all after effects actually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas the bottom of the iceberg, which is the you can't measure, but you
Mm.
can sense, just like I said,
Mm.
team energy or engagement level,
Okay.
people's how much they are engaged in the work,
I see.
how much they are inspired.
I
Many
see.
things we can sense,
Oh,
and they are the leading indicators because if people are and team are not engaged, you can
yeah.
be sure that outcome is not going to be great. So
Okay.
leaders can manage by then leading indicators. So
I see.
that's more powerful. And also when the issues are small, they can deal with.
Okay.
Then they become big.
Okay. Excellent. So one of the promise we have for our listeners in this podcast is, will they be able to get some true knowledge nuggets, based
Hmm.
on our conversations? And
Yeah.
I already could find that, of course, there were so many which you recounted, but one of the key knowledge nugget, if I can say, is managers use measurement, whereas leaders use sensing, and then leading indicators, lagging indicators. Okay, that's great. Yeah.
As I said, the self-awareness is the core, and how to develop that self-awareness or
Mm,
how to maintain that even in a difficult situation. That's the
mm,
most important.
mm, mm,
See, when I'm alone and relaxed, I can have better self-awareness.
mm, mm,
But when I'm in a heated discussion, debate, or a conflict,
mm.
can I still maintain my self-awareness?
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's a true test of a leader, I would say.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
In fact, when things are going well, there is no leader required actually. Leaders are required when things are not going well.
Okay. Okay.
That means there needs to be somebody who can be still cool in a very heated situation
Yeah.
and bring calm into people because in a calm mind we can make better choices.
Oh, okay. So just hold on, just hold on.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
sure a lot of our listeners who are listening and say, "Oh, yeah, like most often I'm cool, etc." But like
Mm,
today's world, projects are going south and people are having all these issues. How do you expect me to kind of still remain calm? Is there
mm,
some way which Vishu
mm.
can kind of help us with?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is a whole lot of things to develop this self-awareness. I
Mm-hmm.
would say mindfulness and meditation is one of
Uh-huh.
the great tool. In fact, I started it during my engineering days itself. I
Ah.
found it extremely useful.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But it became more and more useful as I get into more complex situations. That is a tool to cultivate natural tendencies of being calm rather than getting triggered or getting into anxiety or getting into anger, all the emotional hijacks. So whenever the external stimulus happens, even criticism or even abuse, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
how can we still be not carried away by emotion, but still be keeping that awareness? You can't do this just by an intellectual remembering, saying that, oh yeah, I should be calm. I should not react in this
Yeah.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work because it's the how our brain is designed is that emotions come from a more a primitive part of the brain, which is driven by survival instincts or fight
Okay.
or flight,
Okay. Uh-huh.
than the neocortex, which is the thinking brain.
I see. Mm-hmm.
So this emotional brain always hijacks the thinking brain.
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't work by, oh, I will be cool next time and I won't react. It doesn't work that way.
I see.
So that means you have to bring some transformation in our own system And that's what this mindfulness and meditation techniques actually do. And because of now neuroscience research, we are a lot more aware that what happens in the brain, nervous system, endocrine system, our hormones, and how then it in turn infects our emotions, thinking,
I see.
and all those kind of things.
Okay, I always thought I'm talking to Vishu as a computer science trained engineer, worked in different kinds of technology, but I'm hearing a lot more about neuroscience, and I think you mentioned physiology. So what is the connection here?
In fact, that's another part of my exploration, so to say, in the life. In fact, my brother is a homeopathic doctor, so I got interested and studied homeopathy. In that process, I studied a lot of human anatomy, physiology, neurology, endocrinology, psychology.
Oh, wow.
Because through that, we can understand this, amazing machine that we have, which is called body, mind, energy. The more we understand this, we know how to use this vehicle effectively. That is essentially leadership, actually.
Okay, that's a great point. So, of course, it applies to everybody, but what you're saying is, as a leader, it gives you some premium skills to bring self-awareness and use this tool. Okay, please continue.
Yes. See, we think somebody else is creating all emotions in me, right? Oh, that person said like this, so I became angry. That situation became like this, so I became stressed. We tend to think that outside is causing that.
Okay.
If you understand this, our own system, then I will realize that, oh, actually, I am creating this. External is just a trigger. And whenever somebody is saying something, if I'm getting angry, anger is created by me actually inside. That is part of the self-awareness.
So what is this whole thing between what is happening outside and what you want to do inside?
You can call this a stimulus and response kind of a thing. That means something happens outside, whether I react unconsciously versus I respond consciously. That is the most important distinction, I would say, between a good leader and not a good leader.
I see.
That means I make conscious choices in terms of my response, in terms of my communication, in terms of my action. In fact, other people respond to us based on how we respond to them. The more I respond with this conscious clarity and right choices, other people respond much better then. Instead of I respond or rather I react with emotion, and then it gets into a negative spiral. Whereas this puts into a positive spiral. In fact, I have seen in so many heated arguments, etc., in a professional environment, many times it gets into personal issues and ego clashes, etc. The more I am able to hold this space, not getting perturbed internally within myself, it actually starts influencing people. They actually start becoming calm. They start reflecting on each other rather than emotionally reacting to each other. And so many conflicts gets resolved actually. And they collaborate much better.
Okay, very, very interesting point, because as we said, leadership, especially in today's complex world, they're constantly being, going through this, whatever challenges. It could be business challenge, people challenge, etc. And one of the key premium leadership skills could be, develop that calmness, develop that awareness within. And you use the word meditation. You're saying it's a tool to develop that. So help our listeners understand, what do you mean by that?
Just before that, one more point I just wanted to make is that people think being calm is inaction. And it's a weakness. In fact, I can relate back to Abdul Kalam. And later I figured out that also he is also a meditator. I have met many other great leaders. Most of them are meditators as well. So people think that great leaders have accidentally become great leaders. No, actually they know how to manage themselves. That is the key. We need, just like if you have to build body muscles, we need to do a regular exercise. Very similarly, if you want to build this mental strength is not getting perturbed by external stimulus. That's a mental strength actually.
I see.
If I have to build that mental muscles, I also have to do regular exercise for the mind. But exercise for the mind is not actually so much about activating the mind.
Mm.
It's actually relaxing the mind.
Okay.
This is a big shift, and this is
Okay.
missing in our education. In fact,
Okay.
that's a very nice statement. Movement is better for the body,
Uh-huh.
and stillness is better for the mind.
One more knowledge nugget. I have to note this
Yeah.
down.
So that means you have to do something daily as a practice. I do morning meditations for certain time. And throughout the day, you can actually keep the awareness just by observing breath. That's a very simple but great technique. Just by bringing your attention to breath, what happens is I come to here and now. Otherwise, my mind is wandering, either past or future.
Yeah. Yeah.
But whatever happens only in the present.
Yeah.
So the best way to bring myself fully into the present is to quickly bring my attention to breath so that I'm not carried away by emotions.
So I'm sure some of our listeners will be kind of wondering, okay, Vishu is talking about meditation and I'm in a very busy environment, probably I can't do meditation. But what you're saying is, anyway, everybody is breathing all the time. And whether it's in office or outside,
Yeah,
you're giving a very, very simple technique that, hey, you just observe breath. Is that as simple as that, Vishu? Or am I
absolutely.
oversimplifying it?
Absolutely. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
And it need not have to be for long. A few seconds of bringing your attention to breath, it's like declutching, so that it relaxes this hyper thinking, hyper running mind. And in that space, it creates the awareness. And in that space, you can make the right choice or a conscious choice. I would say we reduce huge amount of waste in action by doing that. Because a lot of our actions are creating more waste. It actually disturbing more people, creating more disharmony and disturbances. We don't need many actions actually. We need lesser but more powerful actions.
Well, I'm sure there will be a lot of listeners out there who are familiar with lean. And in lean, one of the things we keep telling is, hey, don't do wasteful activity. Keep looking
Exactly.
at the best value. So now I can relate that even in our mind, probably a lot of activities are leading to waste, but we are not able to probably see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in fact, neuroscience research shows that we get about 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts in our head per day.
Okay.
And how many of them are really useful thoughts? 99% are waste actually. They are recycling the same thought or thinking about past and future. The moment you are able to reduce so many thoughts in the head, so many thoughts in the head means they are also compelling so many actions outside. So you can reduce waste. In fact, that has a profound effect on people's health because that drives the whole physiology. Mind drives the whole physiology.
What you're saying is in a typical work environment also, a simple technique called breath watch, couple of minutes and so on can be of great help. I know like we will have a lot of global audience and global listeners and so on. And I just want to draw an important point that meditation doesn't mean Indian, though
it's human. It's human.
Okay. So it's human.
All of us have body, mind, energy. It's a science.
Leading self in simple terms, if we can kind of sum up based on what you said.
Okay. I would say leading self begins with self-awareness.
Okay.
That means being aware inside myself, then being aware outside about other people and situations, sensing the whole context, situations and people, and sensing is most important, not just measuring, and then responding rather than reacting. And I also see that while sense and respond, there is some kind of a processing happens. So there I would say self-regulating with empathy.
Okay.
Is the way of processing. That means while sensing, self-regulation is about suspend judgment. That means I don't jump to conclusion. And then sensing with empathy, I would say is more like putting myself into that shoe and looking at, perceiving it in that way. And then I would say responding with self-regulation, I would say it's something like pause before act or think before act.
Yes.
And a little bit pause. That's why this breath watch could help actually. And responding with empathy, I would say it's like more of a act with compassion. In fact, sometimes I also feel the word like compassion in business world, people think that's a weakness.
Okay.
I think that's an industrial era thinking. Whereas in the knowledge era, where we are dealing with people with lot more intelligence and knowledge,
Mhm.
it's about how to bring best out from them. That's where compassion actually is more powerful.
Yeah. Is it some place where maybe our listeners can go to look at a little bit more about some of these practices, what you probably call as mindful practices, which will probably
Yeah.
help them. Maybe we can put it in our show notes.
Absolutely. In
Right.
fact, we have mindful leadership and mindfulness at work
Okay.
workbooks published on our website.
Okay.
And there are many other resources. Breathwatch is one. For example, body scan, alternate nostril breathing.
Okay.
There are many other techniques also given there. They're all guided practices, so people can actually use them to actually practice, not just read and try to understand.
We want a lot of emerging leaders aspiring, to get to higher leadership positions, and looking at their kind of experience level, where they are in their life. I definitely want to give them comfort that, hey, it's not such a big thing, which they say, oh my God, I have to dedicate so many, hours doing this and so on. So you're giving them a comfort that is kind of easy to incorporate in their daily life.
Very much. In fact, when we do the workshop, we take them through this whole practices and give them a day routine from morning through the day and to the evening. The whole thing takes about 10 minutes in a day. And I think that's worthwhile investment for managing this wonderful machine that we have. And just one more point that came to my mind is, many times people think leadership means some hierarchy, top people. I would say leadership is a quality which is required in everybody, even in a team member, even in the family context, social context, everywhere. And it's a very premium skill, as you said, because through which we actually connect with people much more better. And it's very fulfilling, actually.
Okay, one thing I liked about what you said is, look, like as leaders, especially when you grow up into higher positions within the company, many leaders tend to think that, okay, I am all doing right and the world needs fixing and so on. But
in fact, very good point. A lot of times when people attend our leadership programs, we see that people come with, I have this problem, I have problem with that person, how to fix that person, how to fix this. They're all thinking about fixing the outside. And we say that leadership development is actually fixing oneself. Because the more I change internally, that actually influences the change outside. Because people respond based on how I respond to them. The more I change my response, people responses start changing. And situations outside change based on how I respond to those situations. So in a sense, then we create the situations actually.
Oh, no, that's a very powerful thought. So what you're essentially saying is, because we are looking at this leadership stack, lead outside better by leading oneself. Is that some kind of a...
Yeah. In fact, if you have to deal with more complex people and situations outside, you need more inner mastery. We say that manage outside by mastering inside.
I think this is a very, very kind of an apt message for many of our listeners. Right?
In fact, we use a tree metaphor to... if you want to get fruits in the tree, you nurture the roots. So if you have to manage the outside, you master the inside.
But does that also imply that, hey, you can't expect results overnight? You need to constantly work upon that. Is that something which you want to emphasize?
Absolutely. That's why it's a premium skill. You can't buy it overnight.
Okay. So as we are kind of, coming towards at least the end of this episode, I was just thinking, like, you have put in more than 30 years, you have seen a variety of leaders. And as I mentioned, our listeners probably are the emerging leaders. Of course, we want senior leaders also, and who are aspiring to grow into higher leadership positions and so on. What would be a piece of advice which you would give to your own younger self, Vishu? Not for the people out there, but your own younger self.
Okay, I would tell my younger self, trust yourself. Yes. In fact, I had so much of it intuitively at that time, but I didn't know how to express or how to communicate, and I always felt very inferior trying to become somebody like else.
Okay.
So I would say trust yourself, be yourself. Then you will be the authentic leader.
Okay.
See, every individual is very unique in this creation, and there is a unique strength there. So anything duplicate is not as good as an original.
As good as the original. Oh, wow.
So be the original you.
Okay.
Nobody else can copy that actually.
Okay. So you get inspired,
In fact,
you learn, but don't try to imitate. That's
yes. In fact, in our coaching, that's why we say
Okay.
discover the leader in you.
Yeah, I think that was a great piece of advice, and I'm sure that applies to a lot of young people out there who are listening and so on. I want to have a follow-up conversation, go a little bit deeper into this mastering inside for managing outside. I know like you come with a lot of experience on neuroscience backed research, maybe a lot of some of the global companies, what kind of thing they have tried. Maybe we will keep it for another episode. But I think this was a great, kind of, I would say, foundation, for some of our listeners about leading self and about general leadership. Okay. Vishu, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you. I certainly enjoyed the conversation, and I hope you too.
Yes, it was great. At the beginning, I didn't know what will I speak or how will things go.
Okay.
And I think it emerged quite well. I was
Yeah.
happy with whatever I could share, and
Yeah. Absolutely.
good kind of triggers and questions from you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
No, that's what we want, and I hope our listeners, will kind of really get these knowledge nuggets, as we said, and use that. And of course, I think you gave a very powerful message that every leader out there need to work on their own transformation. So I think with that message, we appreciate your time. Thank you for having a conversation, on this podcast. Wishing you a great day.
Thank you. Thank you very much, KP.
I thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Full Stack Leadership Podcast. Please don't forget to share your feedback, any suggestions on improvement, or specific leadership topics to talk about. Feel free to share the link to this podcast with your colleagues and friends who you think might find it useful. Thanks again, and I'm your host Krishna Prasad, signing off for now.